Okay, we are back, and we left off when I added definition of unsung, and I actually looked up some of the synonyms they have for that. Unacknowledged, uncelebrated, which means you're not the one that you got your name's up in the lights there. Nameless. Well, of course you got a name, but a lot of things that if you do things that nobody gives you an award for it, that doesn't mean that it's not been done. And another one is unnamed. So the reason why I wanted to look that up and I asked you that is because when I look at you, Bunky, and the things that you do, and like I said, I've watched, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the county has watched in the last 2.5 years. They may have seen you at different things. They've seen you go up there when you had to talk to the council or whatever, but they never really hear that you are in the forefront of heading things out. But you do. So I think of you as a local community unsung hero, and I just appreciate you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you just said a while ago that these people were asking, including the governor. Governor Hogan saw it in you that he asked you to be a part of this. They asked you to be a part of that stuff. And that doesn't just happen just because you're there. But it also doesn't happen because you say, hey, pick me, pick me. It's because of your work ethics. And I really do see that in you as a good work ethics. I just want to say that before we go any further.
But, it's funny because I so much goes back to Carl's campaign for delegate. And there was one time we ran into a lady who at the time was writing for the Daily Times. I believe she's still with Politico now. Her name is Jennifer Shutt. I ran into her in an elevator in a House office building. So Carl was still mayor of Delmar. I was on town council. I was off that day, or we were off that day, and I believe we were up there for Maryland Municipal League Legislative Board or something. And but he's somewhere, and I get in the elevator, and Jennifer comes in. Well, hey Jennifer, how you doing? And she's like, what are you doing up here? And I just said, and I hadn't even thought about it, I was like, listen, we will not be outworked. And of course, Carl's taken on the very powerful chairman of appropriations, who's a really good guy, Norm Conway.
I know that name.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Politics doesn't have to be vicious, or you can literally run against people that you personally like, and you don't have to. Now they may be disappointed if they lose, you may be disappointed you lose, but you don't have to get to the level of animus where you're lifelong enemies after that. And I liked Norm before, I like him now. If I ran into him, I'd talk to him. But I told her, I was like, we will not be outworked, and that was sort of the unofficial motto of our campaign. As we were knocking on doors and everything, I repeated it often to any volunteers we have: we will not be outworked. Wow. And that's sort of, like, in a way, my unofficial motto. Like you can't. There's only so much you can control with your intellect. There's only so much you can control with a lot of things. How smart you are, how much you know about something. But what you really can control, to the extent you can control anything in life, is effort. And you can control whether you're doing your best or not. And so you just have to give it your all. And to the extent that you can not allow other people to outwork you, that should be the goal.
And you can do that without any pride being a part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. You said you will not be outworked. That sounds like it's been echoed by our county executive before. I remember during the Question A time, and she was speaking, and they had that little thing over to the Civic Center. She said, I will not be outworked.
Yeah.
And it shows that's a reflection of her team.
Yeah.
That's just impressive. And I mean, again, a lot of times in life, people look to the person that's getting all the accommodations and saying that person has achieved anything. But truly, in a job like this, you got like how many departments under you?
Well, I have direct reports, and then I have things that I have to do. Like I have to do budget things with the sort of court systems. There's budget things with sheriff's offices, budget things with all kinds of things. So, yeah, we have a lot of different departments. We're involved in a lot of stuff as a county, funding wise specifically. So. And
each department has their department head that has their own abilities. And a lot of times I've seen, just working with people. Okay, even in not just in the political realm, but even in churches. If you got someone that's overseeing everything, there's some people that get in their feelings, could be like, well, this is mine, and this person is a little bit too much, but I don't think you have that with your department heads. It seems like y'all are kind of just being honest with you, a well-oiled machine, but it starts with the person that's over it all.
So one of the things we did the first, I believe it was the first Friday. She took office December 6th, 2022. I started the same day with her at noon. We went from the swearing in right over here to this office, and that either that Friday or the following Friday, I can't remember which, we did a department head meeting. It was the first department head meeting in years this county had had, and sort of one of the things was, this isn't just a meeting for you as department heads to give us a weekly update. This is also a meeting so that you guys can get to know each other. Of course, it's 2022, the end of 2022. So, COVID started in March 2020. So most of these folks, worked from home for a long time. And there just seemed like there were departments that were sort of siloed and they weren't, necessarily working together. And I was in a, I interview people from time to time, work for county government, and one of the answers, or one of the questions I'll get sometimes is, how could I be successful in this role, or what is an unsuccessful person in this role? That, they're same coin, different sides of the same coin. Sure. So what I always say is we stress collaboration. We stress it. I mean, if you are in, let's say Public Works has the road department, but Planning and Zoning has the metropolitan planning organization that does traffic studies. So like if you're higher up in, or whether you're higher up or not, if you're in Public Works and Roads, at some point you're probably gonna have to work with Planning and Zoning. And that's just an example. We have the rodeo and we have monster trucks. That's actually Public Works folks that are bringing the dirt over and helping with that to the park, to Steve Miller's group that does Civic Center, parks, recreation, tourism. Wow. So that's a collaboration. And so there's all these things that in the public, you don't know the collaboration's going on, but we collaborate all the time and you have to. That's how you get efficiency in government. There's no reason that we would, and to my knowledge we never have, but there would be no reason to sort of hire a company to put the dirt in for the rodeo when we literally have a public works team and dirt that we can use. Sure. So that's how you create efficiency, is you do a lot in-house to the extent you can do it well. And there's some things you do have to farm out to an entity or what have you, but
you got to have somebody that's going to set the table for the communication to happen.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what you do. I want to ask you a couple of questions here. What is your view of the county's current level of public debt, or are we in debt?
Yeah. So we're not audited yet through June 2025, but the level of debt there was about 165 million. Then we just went to bond to do 17 million of projects, so we're about 182 million dollars. And look, I did not name my son after President Jackson, but our country has been in debt since President Andrew Jackson paid off the national debt. That was the only time our debt national.
Wow.
So I'm not necessarily, not necessarily a big proponent of debt, but there are long-term projects, things that like the Civic Center, like the issues at the Civic Center, fixing those are going to be a benefit for 20, 30, 40 years. So do you want to come off of millions of dollars in your operating budget for that, or do you want to do, a 20-year loan to fix it? And that's sort of, during budget times, we have to make those hard calls. And honestly, sometimes we're like, well, look, we're going, like this year, we went out to bond for 17 million. Like, there were other projects that we could have, that we were asked to do, and we were like, you know what? That can wait. You can get through another year. You can get through another 2 or 3 years. That way, if you can get another year out of that roof, that's good, So it's sort of, the budget is incredibly complex. There is a lot of requests that come in from every department, and that's by design, because I've asked every department head, do not be shy about requests, because if you think, you know what, I need a dump truck, but I don't think you're going to fund it, so I'm not going to ask, then I don't know you need a dump truck.
If you don't ask, you'll never know.
That's right. So I say be really honest, but you are going to get questions about that dump truck. Sure. Do you want a dump truck because your dump truck's 10 years old, but it runs good, but it's 10 years old? Or do you want a dump truck because it may break when you go back to, headquarters? Sure. And it's at the end of its useful life. So you will get asked about it, but that's baked into the budget process. So we try our best to be as efficient as possible and you know, have those hard conversations with our staff on those things, and then of course we present it to the council, and you know, there's a negotiation there during budget.
There is. And you know, you said, what was the number you said we are in debt?
About 182 million.
Okay, and of course I know there's critics and people probably watching right now say, I thought we were like 85 million in surplus.
So we have an unfunded balance of about 80 million, and what that is our finance department really wants to have a number of months in the bank, and we go through somewhere around 12-13 million a month in paying out bills and those sorts of things.
13 million a month.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, for operating.
Wow. Well,
so
it is a whole county of 107,000.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're at 12, you know, 6 months would be, you know, 72 million. So that's sort of, we like retaining a certain part. Now we have in the past paid stuff down. There was, I think this was 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago. We had about $5 million that we went to council, and what we had done is we had taken that unfunded money and we put it in some investment accounts, and this was Charles Smeckel and Pamela in finance made this happen, and we made about $5 million in, you know, interest and investment profit, that kind of thing, and we used that money to pay off different projects, and there were several, but the big one was $1 million on Athol Road, which had become in really bad shape, and so we were like, hey, we can fix the rest of Athol Road, because we had piecemealed it, if we take this $1 million and do it. So I hope, you know, maybe this budget year, maybe we'll see this spring, we'll look and we'll see, maybe we can do that again. I don't know yet, because the problem is you just don't know with Maryland, the way that our General Assembly last year pushed a lot of things, unfunded mandates down to us, onto the county. So you sort of want to wait until after General Assembly's done in April before and then you can see, okay, how are we doing here? Are there any unfunded mandates that we didn't know we were going to have to cover? Now we have to cover. Before you make those decisions, but hopefully it's something we're able to do again.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess it makes it a little bit hard for you to know what's happening. It seems like Maryland, at least on the state level, changes day by day on different things. And go ahead.
But there is a ceiling for, and that's total debt what I just gave you. There's also a ceiling that we are only allowed to take up to 12% of our budget to pay off sort of debt service, our annual debt payment, that kind of thing.
Call that a cap, so, pretty much.
Yeah, we're capped at 12%. That number is at about 7.4%. So we're not sort of up against it.
On the ceiling.
And part of that, and this is where having that money in the savings account, the unfunded mandate, or not unfunded mandate, unfunded funds, this is where that's important. So when we go to bond, we go to New York City, we talk to Moody's, we talk to Standards & Poor. In the past, we've talked to Fitch, they're the 3 rating agencies, and we've been upgraded by 2 of the 3 to AA+, which is good.
Tremendous.
And part of what they see is, and they talk about our financial management and all that, and they see what we have in unfunded balance. They see what we're doing operating, capital, and all of that. And what I think what they like is the fact that when we do these big projects, we're doing them for things that can stoke economic development, like the airport, like us extending water and wastewater as we get into that.
It's investment.
Yeah. So and look, sometimes, just because I'm plain spoken, probably talk too much, but sometimes local government or government of any kind will call things that's it's an investment, but it's really not. But you know, they want to spend the money. In our case, we are truly trying to invest in this county to bring jobs, hopefully higher paying jobs, bring businesses, and increase quality of life. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. So.
Sounds good to me. Now, I do know from last year, the council kind of put a little pressure on you all when it came to budget season. And again, you want to take care of education. It's very important to take care of education, but I think we gave out, $12 million for Fruitland?
So Fruitland is in this odd position where the state through the IAC, I apologize, I can't remember what IAC stands for, but IAC is where school construction goes. and they sort of pay for a portion of the school. County pays for another portion, but the amount they're going to pay sort of goes like this, and they say we estimate we're going to give you this, and then often they'll give you a different amount, and to our good fortune, it's been more rather than less. But yeah, we've basically paid the county's portion for Fruitland. However, this where the state has projected what they're going to give us, there's a shortfall. So what they're asking us as a county to do is forward fund a portion of that project. And like I said, the numbers change, and we'll be more locked in a few months on what that will have to be this coming budget year. And then the state, after those school buildings paid or finished, open, and all that, they're going to pay us back over time to reimburse the county.
So they're asking for a loan from the county to take care of their part.
I mean, that's the way. Yeah, that's the way to do it. So here's,
makes me a little bit nervous when we're in a deficit as a state, saying now I'm going to pay you back, but I got bad credit.
So here, to be transparent, here's the IAC argument, is that they get about $1 billion of requests per year on school construction.
Okay.
And they get funded somewhere in the neighborhood of 280 to 300 million. So what they attempt to do, I think, is say how much will you need for year one of Fruitland, and it'll be X amount of dollars, so you can sort of pay the contractors throughout that year, and then maybe you phase in, year two you need this amount. So they try to do that times how many ever schools they're building at once all across the state, and I think at some points, they're just like, you know what. We have a lot of projects. We're actually not going to be able to fully fund your second year. So if you can forward fund it, we will pay you back, next year, year after, whenever it is. There's never a guarantee because having worked in Annapolis, I think they're going to pay us back. But having worked in Annapolis, a state agency can't say next year we'll pay you back because they don't know what the General Assembly or the governor is going to do with the budget. So they can't really, to their credit, they can't make us a promise because they have, like us, they got to wait and see what's in the budget.
Just me speaking here. I wish there was a place that I could go and say, hey, can I just get this money and I'll try to pay you back.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, and thank you. Now, there's something I've seen that's actually it's out in media right now a lot, and that's the school safety. And it seems that we are going to the council wants to take steps forward. I mean, the executive being a teacher herself, I know she's concerned with school safety. So we're going to be putting out a lot more to get these metal detectors in. Where's that money going to come from?
Yeah, so there's Dr. Stauffer is in front of the council, and we meet with him monthly. So a lot of public doesn't know that because sometimes, like with Fruitland in the beginning, on when we were going to start that building, there was a little tension. But we meet with Dr. Stauffer and members of his team every month. But yeah, so there's an initiative to do these weapons detective systems, and it's going to be about $6 million. Some of that's capital to buy the equipment. Some of that's to hire safety personnel.
Right. And now is that for middle and high school, or is that just for high? Because I heard that there's another number that's less if they don't cover, I think, just the high schools and not middle school.
So he presented 3 tiers of different ways you could do it, but my understanding is he liked all schools because unfortunately, they have.
We haven't. Yeah.
Dr. Stauffer said there's been weapons found in elementary, middle, and
scary.
high.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are still parents that don't lock up their firearms.
Yeah.
And then there's other ways. That's, it's very important to invest in education and invest in school safety. I'm just wondering is with monies, how are we going to fund it?
Yeah. So I mean, that's going to be something that we're going to have conversation with because Dr. Stauffer sort of had a concept, but they were still, when the council was asking them questions, they weren't sure whether they were going to lease or buy the capital stuff.
Yeah.
So we need some clarity on that, and then we'll figure out once they sort of settle upon exactly the model they want, then we'll have a better number. And then, we'll try to accommodate it the best we can because no one wants to shortchange. Safety,
but here's the thing I was wondering too, Bunky, is would that go under just a budget for education, or would that also go under the sheriff's budget? Because when we're talking about safety, that kind of public safety, the sheriff's office, you know, because I mean, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but aren't those the two biggest people that get money out from our budget, the sheriff's office and education?
Yeah, we give a lot to both, and the sheriffs, I believe the model that they want to do is they're not going to hire like deputies. The people they were talking about hiring were safety personnel that were not SROs. So they were sort of
interesting.
Sounds like it's the people who can run the metal detectors and that kind of thing. They weren't armed. That was really clear in the council meeting. So they're
so
the SROs will be armed. But the security personnel. But my guess is they'll be trained in de-escalation. You know, dealing with children and teenagers and that kind of thing. But
well, let me ask you this: the once they run the detectors at the courthouses, are they armed?
So they have security there, but in addition, they have a deputy. So the deputy is definitely armed. I don't know if the security person at the metal detector is or not, but the deputy definitely is. But that's part of one of the sheriff's role that they're mandated to do is cover courts. That's all state.
Sure. That's one of the right. No, I was just wondering if, I mean, again, this is just something that maybe hopefully somebody who's make the decision is thinking about this, but a lot of money that we're putting into our budget goes to safety or to the sheriff's office, and a lot goes to the school. So, do we put more into the education, or do we incorporate the sheriff's office? I mean, then you got corrections and wow, and you're in charge of all that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that thankfully the sheriff's office.
Well, that's true. I forgot. I'm sorry. Yeah, minus the sheriff's office. How about Sheriff Lewis?
That's right. I wasn't taking on your role.
No, my goodness, you do a great job there.
Yeah, but yeah, it's this is the first county executive that every year she's been executive, we've increased maintenance of effort to the Board of Ed, to education. That hasn't been done before, 3 years in a row. We'll see what the budget has. I anticipate hopefully we'll be able to do that again this year. Again, it's gonna really depend on how the state comes through their budget. One of the things that really helped last year, and honestly, and this goes unsung, but the county executive really talked to appropriations and the governor's staff on the need to keep. We get a grant called the Disparity grant, and the Disparity grant goes to the 10 counties that have the lowest amount of taxability with income tax. And there's a formula, and it gets really complicated. But not only, and we were afraid that it would be cut because there were a lot of things being cut. Not only did it not get cut, we got an additional $2.7 million, and that really helped us go above maintenance of effort and fund the schools. That was
okay.
And she really advocated for that in Annapolis.
That's what's up. That's what's important about y'all going across the bridge.
It is. I've been on hiring boards for other counties. When you're in these roles, sometimes other counties will call, and and I'm open to that, and I don't have a problem with it as long as I can get the day to do it. And some counties, philosophically, they really, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but they really leave it up sort of the delegate, senator, that kind of thing. But having been a legislative aide in Annapolis, there is something about the local person coming to testify. And it's a force multiplier, not to step on the toes of any of our delegates or senators,
right.
But to say, and I think generally the members of General Assembly would agree with this, but sometimes in the county or even municipal level, because I was at a municipal level, we just feel like, well, Maryland Association of Counties will handle that, or Maryland Municipal League will handle that.
Somebody push it up to the next person.
But I could tell you, having worked with the legislative teams of both MACO and MML, they like it when you as an elected official or staffer go up there and testify, because it's another voice. And then also as a county executive, the delegates and senators will ask her questions, and they get to have a good positive interaction and conversation with her, and I think that's always a net positive. Not that every bill we want doesn't pass, but we've really never had a negative sort of encounter where the county executive went up like with Sunday hunting, which didn't pass. It was I think it was basically pigeonholed last year, but she had a great conversation with the subcommittee or the committee, on how we could accommodate, because there was concerns about people who own horses and, how we could really accommodate horse riders, and so we wouldn't get rid of them being able to ride their horses during times and things like that. And I thought it went really well. So.
Wow.
I think it's important. It's important to show up to places that, control your budget. Not just Annapolis, but also occasionally D.C.
Voice.
It's important to show the flag. It's important to go up. It's important that your U.S. Senator and your Congressman know who you are, and and look, I talked to staff of all three of those, of both our U.S. Senators and Congressman Harris. And then occasionally, we go up there if we can get 15 minutes of the congressman's time or the U.S. senator's time, and we look within a few weeks of U.S. Senator Alsobrook taking office. We were in her office. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it, but we met with her staff. We've met with Senator Van Hollen multiple times. We met with Congressman Harris multiple times. We met with U.S. Senator Cardin. Because, like I said, again, there's things that they're doing, and they need a local perspective. I think they like it, and it's not contentious, and it's not political. And because sometimes these things will be viewed through, well, this guy is, or lady is this party, and you're going up and talking to them.
Everything's politicized.
But look, they will they take in the information we give them, and they can weigh it on their vote. But it's important we give it, and what they do with it, it's sort of. It's our business. It's our business, but it's sort of on them. If we give them good faith, this is what we see on this policy. Could you tweak it? That's all we can do. So.
Well, I gotta say, at least I would think, in Maryland, people know who the county executive of Wycomico is, and they also know who the director of administration, because you've been everywhere.
Well, we try.
And I think that's a very good asset for this county to have somebody that is known everywhere. I mean, that speaks volumes to be able to call up Governor Hogan. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can still get up with Governor Hogan. You could call somebody somewhere and actually say, hey, can we talk about this? And I think that's awesome. I just noticed my department head for the weekend, aka my wife, was telling me that we got to kind of wind this in.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get you home for your department head who calls us up. No, I do appreciate this. I would love, hopefully we get a chance to get back and do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
You just definitely a fountain of information. I do appreciate everything you do. Again, you are an unsung hero of this county, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate the work.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in again to Mission. I'm here to say Mission the Gap. Bridging the Gap. Have a great one.